So today we're gonna talk about the pregnancy and I'm just gonna tell you what happened exactly, and then everyone can draw their own consequences to see if this premature birth could have been prevented. So first of all, I would like to tell you that I have two conditions that kind of prevented me from getting pregnant before. And that's endometriosis, which is when the lining of the uterus grows outside, anywhere in the body, basically mainly in the pelvic area, but it can grow anywhere else. Mine is in the pelvic area, right next to the uterus. The second condition I have is polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and that's obviously just cysts on the ovaries. And both of these conditions come with basically having a hard time getting pregnant. And I actually had a period in my life when I did try to get pregnant and I couldn't. But what happened is that they put me on metformin last year in January or so, March, and that's for the PCOS, and it didn't really work for my PCOS, but I think that's what actually helped me to get pregnant at the end. So what happened is, first of all, 2016. In 2016, I didn't have my period after Halloween, so I got my last period before Halloween, and then I didn't have any for November or December, but there was nothing new with all these conditions. This is one of the symptoms. You have a period and you don't have for 2 to 3 months, and then you have another one, and then sometimes I had 2 periods in a month, like it was just very irregular. So I didn't think of it as being anything out of the ordinary. And then in December I had a nose surgery where they actually just fixed my septum so I can breathe better. That was at the end of January, right? Oh no, at the end of December, sorry, right before Christmas on the 23rd. And then I went to see my gynecologist on January 5th because I wanted to start a new medication for my endometriosis because the pain was just getting really bad. And I went there, I told him that I didn't have a period since Halloween. They did actually an ultrasound. He did tell me that my lining was really thick, which comes with not having a period for 2 to 3 months, so nothing out of the ordinary. And then he prescribed me the medication and told me to go home, do a pregnancy test because you can't take it if you're pregnant, just in case, and then start taking the medication. So I went home, took a pregnancy test because I actually had it at home, and it came back completely positive. Like within 3 seconds it showed that I'm pregnant, and I'm like, it's impossible. I never in my life had a positive pregnancy test, but the test was expired, so I'm like, maybe it's just expired and that's why it's doing that. And so I took the medicine that one day, the first day, and went and bought a new pregnancy test, which I took the next morning when I woke up, and it was positive. So I went to the doctor, to the medical clinic, to get a blood test to confirm the pregnancy, which they did. They sent me for a blood test, but I had to wait for the whole weekend before I could go and get the test done. And then I could of course check the results online the next day. So that was Tuesday, right? Yeah, we are on Tuesday. I'm just looking at my notes because I actually made notes during the pregnancy, so it makes it easier. and that showed that I was about 5 to 7 weeks pregnant. Who knows? But it just showed the HCG hormone levels, and from that it said that it's between 5 to 7 weeks pregnant. I did have an ultrasound, and that was I think 2 weeks after that. Yes, it was on the 25th of January. So yeah, that's basically almost a month after I got the first pregnancy test, and that showed that she is 7 weeks. Yeah, that I'm 7 weeks pregnant, and she was 11.7 millimeters at that point, and everything was fine. Of course, I had all my symptoms, pregnancy symptoms, but I'm just not going to talk about those because everyone has pregnancy symptoms, and that could take up like 2 hours of a video, and we just don't have time for that. So the first thing that happened, I was a bit out of the ordinary, was a month later, on the 26th of February, when I woke up in the middle of the night with and I was bleeding. So I was quite sure that I'm having a miscarriage, because both endometriosis and PCOS increases your chance for miscarriage. And so I thought I'm having a miscarriage, but I don't know if they heard that, but that was a big fart. If anyone did hear it through the camera, and it's getting really stinky over here. Right, baby? Someone's a little stinky baby. Yeah, a little stinky baba. Anyways, back to the pregnancy. Yes, I had the bleeding, but I didn't go to the emergency because I'm like, well, if you have a miscarriage, they can't actually do anything at the ER anyways. And it was just a little bit of a brown blood. It wasn't like bright red blood. And this bleeding just didn't go away, so I went to the doctor, who actually told me to go to the ER. I went to the ER, they checked for everything, they said everything is fine. And they've done another ultrasound, and so that ultrasound showed that I am 12 weeks along. And that she is 60 millimeters. 60 millimeters at 12 weeks, that's nice. So everything is fine until this 12-week marks. As you can see, she was 60 millimeters. She was supposed to be 60 millimeters at that time, so everything was completely fine. Her heartbeat was 168. So far the pregnancy was just progressing like regular pregnancy. And then the next, more and more pregnancy symptoms after that. But the next thing that was out of the wasn't quite normal happened another month later. So this was March 30th, and then at that time we were 16 weeks. Yeah, I was 16 weeks pregnant, and my heart started to hurt by a lot. Like I couldn't sleep, and it was just very painful. It basically felt like the heart is working so hard to pump the blood that it's just hurting, like a muscle pain, you know, like it's just doing way too much. And I did go to the ER the next day, just because I was really scared for myself at that point, because it just felt like the heart is working so hard that it can just give up at any time. And I was pretty scared that it's just gonna give up or stop working, or who knows. Anyway, so I went there, they couldn't find anything. Again, everything was normal. My blood pressure was normal by the time I got there, but before I left, I checked here and it was... Oopsie baby, where is your wipe? Here it is. Yeah. We did the fart, we are doing the spit ups. You are just showing off for the camera, aren't you? Go back to sleep, that was a lot easier. It's okay, baby. That's what happens when you have a small baby, right? And because someone's getting hungry, but that's okay, we're gonna eat soon, baby. Yeah? We're gonna film this video and then we go and eat, alright? You wanna be in a different position? Yeah? You wanna be here with mommy? Let's, oh yeah, yes, yes. Come on, this is our favorite position here, right? Okay, Papa. It's okay, Papa. We just don't have patience, do we? We are hungry. We are hungry. It's okay, Papa. We're gonna eat soon. So anyways, yeah, before I went, I checked my blood pressure because I have a, my mom has a machine and I asked for it, borrowed it from her. Oh, you don't see the camera from here. You like the camera. You wanna go and turn around? Is it good here? No, let's turn around because we actually like to look at the camera. She loves lights and cameras for some reason. Yeah, here you go. Let's sit up on mommy's knees. Is that good? It's good enough? Good enough? You're just hungry, I know, okay. That's okay, we're gonna eat soon. Anyway, so my blood pressure was 100, I can't remember it, I didn't write it down, but it was like maybe 160, 180 over 100, so it was really, really high. But by the time I went in, it was completely fine, so they sent me home with just some Tylenol 3. But the pain didn't actually go away, so it was for about 3 weeks. I had the heart pain going on and off, but since they couldn't really help me, I didn't go to another doctor and didn't. What do you want? You wanna go eat? You wanna go eat? You wanna stop and eat? You need to next to mommy and do your tummy time. Okay? So the camera stopped recording for whatever reason and we took a break. But back to the pregnancy. So I don't really wanna tell you guys why I had to have her at 28 weeks yet, but I want to point out that I think that this heart pain that I had at 16 weeks was the first warning sign, but no one really caught it, and I didn't realize that it's not normal either. So they didn't find anything at the ER. I did tell the whole thing that happened to the doctor that was following me with the pregnancy, but she didn't really care at that point. She was busy. She didn't really want to spend time on me during that day and that visit, and she kind of just dismissed it. But I do think it was one of the big warning signs. And so as I said, or I don't know if it was recorded or not in the previous video, but I did say it, that this heart pain was going on for another 3 to 4 weeks, so basically until like 19-20 weeks of pregnancy. And during this time I also had my 2 blood tests that were testing for genetic disabilities or I don't know, genetic mutations. Like they were basically testing for chromosomal abnormalities, but it's a blood test, so it's not something that's really accurate, but it kind of just tests for your chances of having a genetic abnormality during the pregnancy. And so I've done those tests during this time. That was done at like, I can't remember, but 2 different times during the pregnancy. And I also had my my ultrasound at 20 weeks, where they actually checked that everything is normal on the baby. She's growing fine. There's no, like she has 10 toes and 10 fingers and 2 eyes and 2 ears, and they also checked for the gender, and I was actually told that she's gonna be a girl, and well, she is a girl, so that was completely spot on. And she measured 19 weeks, so she was a week behind with growth at the 20 week. By the 20 week mark. When I went back to the doctor after my 20 weeks ultrasound, she had the results in from the blood test as well as the ultrasound, and she did tell me that I have an extremely high chance for having a baby with Down syndrome, or that's what the blood test showed. And basically my options are getting an amniocentesis to confirm if she is gonna have Down syndrome or not, you know, or another blood test. But if I do have the other blood test and that comes back positive, I still have to get the amnio done to know for sure